I am Sophie Dorothea, once wife to George Louis, who rose to be King George I of Great Britain. Yet, despite the grandeur of his crown, I languished in captivity at Ahlden Castle, a forsaken queen and a woman forgotten by the world. My tale is not one of regal splendor but of heartbreak, betrayal, and longing for freedom. When George ascended to the British throne in 1714, I was not by his side, though once I had been his lawful wife. My prison walls at Ahlden were silent witnesses to my sorrows, confining me since 1694 when George cast me aside, accusing me of adultery with Count Philip Christoph von Königsmarck. The truth mattered little, what the court demanded was a scapegoat, and I became one. My marriage to George had been loveless from the start, arranged for political advantage rather than affection. Though I bore him 2 children, George Augustus and Sophia Dorothea, our union was poisoned by his cruelty and disdain. When I found a kindred spirit in Philip, it was more than George could bear. Whether out of jealousy or a need to assert his dominance, he orchestrated Philip's disappearance, a euphemism, I fear, for murder, and condemned me to a life of exile and shame. While George relished the pomp of kingship, I sat in my shadowed chambers, my only companions being my thoughts and my writing. I penned countless letters to my children, though I knew most would never reach their hands. George forbade them from acknowledging me, forcing them to refer to me as the Electress of Hanover, instead of their mother. The ache of such rejection cut deeper than any blade. News of George's reign reached even my secluded prison. I learned of his struggles to rule a foreign land whose language and customs he barely understood. He was unloved by his British subjects, who saw him as a dour, German-speaking stranger. I admit, though bitter, I took a grim satisfaction in knowing that his power could not buy him happiness or the affection of those he ruled. My children grew in my absence. George Augustus, my son, became the Prince of Wales, but he too found himself estranged from his father. In this, I recognized the same coldness that George had shown me. My daughter Sophia Dorothea married Frederick William I of Prussia and became the mother of Frederick the Great. She carried forward my legacy in ways I never could, though I could only observe from afar, my heart heavy with pride and sorrow. The years crawled by, and though my spirit often wavered, I refused to let it break entirely. I found solace in my memories of a freer time and in the defiance I nurtured within. No amount of confinement could strip me of my dignity, even if George tried to erase me from history. I was a queen in all but title, a woman who loved and suffered, yet endured. As I sit here in the twilight of my life, I reflect on the peculiar irony of it all. Though George sits on the throne, surrounded by jewels and courtiers, he is no freer than I. We are both prisoners, he to his crown, I to these walls. But while his legacy is tainted by his heartless ambition, mine remains that of a woman wronged yet unbroken. The world may remember him as a king, but it will remember me, Sophie Dorothea, as a soul who refused to be forgotten, whose voice lingers in the echoes of history. This is my testament, the story of a queen denied her throne yet indomitable in her spirit.